right? What are the available web directories, right? So based on the web directory, what you can do a word list scan. So active scanning has how many technique or reconnaissance have 10 different techniques. Okay, individual techniques are having tactics over here. So if I'm talking about a particular technique called as phishing, okay, phishing is not a new thing to a corporate employee because or an MNC employee, because the reason, once our company mail ID is exposed to the internet, we will start receiving ads, we will start receiving promotions, we will be start receiving SaaS based marketing strategies and all. So here you can see similar to that, hackers are there or scammers are there. They would like to perform a phishing campaign and deliver what, a malware or a ransomware, or they would like to exfiltrate, or they would like to gather useful information of the employee. It can be an employee ID, it can be an login credential, even it can be an SSH key also. It's implemented with a method called as social engineering. Okay. Anyway, here we can see that we are having phishing attack over here. In phishing, they are having like spear phishing is there, spear phishing with an attachment, with a link, with a voice. So there are different type of techniques, and each technique has a tactic. Okay. Since again, I'm coming back to our system hacking. Just consider that one of the machine is being compromised. Okay. The question is how it is got compromised. So there are different level a machine get compromised. For example, I'm using a Windows 11 laptop over here. Okay, where this Windows 11 by default it comes with an Windows antivirus solution. Okay, by default it will comes with an Windows antivirus solution. Is there a way that the advisory used to hack a Windows machine? So we'll be taking a look right now. So I'm directly jumping into the hands-on. So it's very free. You can come here and again read more about Mindray attack and how it has been mapped, and again use this keyword to search more about the Mindray attack framework that we have visited right now. Okay, and you will be getting a detailed how to like an attack map line. Okay, how the attack is being initiated, delivered, and received by and delivered the particular attack to a system. Okay, so let us come back to our fundamentals to system hacking. We can start our guided project. You can click on start a guided project and you can click on, there will be a pop-up. Okay, so once you select fundamentals to system hacking, in the right hand side itself you will be able to see guided project over here. Just click on the icon and again there will be a pop-up. You have to click on yes. Once you completed that, just wait a second. What will happen? A redirection will happen. And as usual, with the day one, what we know, we need to start our lab. So there is an icon over here. It will be taking roughly 1 to 2 minutes, or 2.5 minutes will be max to max will be taking for starting the lab. So at that time, I'll be trying to explain what we are going to do right now. Okay. So let us click on start lab. So the lab will be getting started right now. So let us wait for the lab to get start. Okay, so the lab will be getting ready within 2 minutes. So let us discuss about what we are trying to explore today. Okay, so in a perspective to an offensive security bootcamp, we have to talk about system hacking, and that we are doing right now. So in system hacking, what we are having like different phases are there. Okay, we will do information gathering. Based on the collective information gathering, we will do some exploitation technique. Once the system has been exploited, we'll do post exploitation and maintain access. To understand what are those terminologies, I have picked a Google image over here. We can just randomly go and search for a Google image like 5 phases of hacking or hacking cycle. This is an image which is released by Certified Ethical Hacking, which is nothing but the Easy Council. So you can see from here, there are 5 phases in hacking. Okay, 5 phases in hacking. The first one will be reconnaissance, where we'll be collecting the data, information, scanning, and all the information that required for scanning. Once the reconnaissance is completed, we will pass the information to scanning level. In scanning, we'll be doing the vulnerability scanning and identify is there any weak point available in the system, or we is there an vulnerable service running where we'll be able to do an like a command injection or a remote code execution or an arbitrary code execution. So those kinds of techniques that we can try with the help of scanning. So once we have identified, yes, we have a method where we will be able to get an access. What we will do, we will exploit it. So exploit is nothing but the third stage where we'll be trying to get an access to the machine, which is gaining access. Okay, we all know it's not something like yes, the group of people have done a system hacking. No, they have a motive, right? There is an objective why they are hacking a system or why a machine is getting compromised. There is an end goal. So the end goal, maybe we can take a reference of US pipeline hack, which was held within the time period of 2020 and 21 period. I'm not saying which country. The country hackers was trying to hack US pipeline, and they were trying to take control of chlorination system. Okay, there is an autonomous system like SCADA where we are manually or automatically we will be able to control the chlorination level. So it was an exploit which was delivered by an outdated software they were using, which is nothing but AnyDesk. Okay, but once they compromise the machine using an outdated software, which is AnyDesk, they were waiting in the machine. Why? Because they are not having an enough access or privileges to execute a command to gain access to the chlorination control. So they were doing a technique which is known as maintain access or maintaining persistence. We have to hold our position in the system, which is known as maintain access. Next, they have got the access, they have done the evil plan. Okay, at the end, what they will do, they will do the covering tracks or clear tracks. So in clear tracks, if you have left any kind of a digital footprint, okay, what we have to do, I mean the hacker or the offensive person, what they will do, they will clear it. Okay, and there is a saying in between black hat communities, if a hacker or a group of hackers are following the hacking cycle in a systematic or in a sequential order, from one they have completed successfully, they have completed second, from the third, from the access, I mean gaining access, they have maintained their access. Once they have done the action, they have removed the tracks. If they're doing all in a sequential manner, the success rate is high. That's the reason why if any every time when we are talking about a cyber kill chain, or we are talking about a case study like SolarWind attack, the attack time period is 2 months, 3 months, 7 months. Why? Because they are following a proper pattern. Okay, they are following a proper pattern. But in here, okay, in here we are not going through all of them because it's a very vast area. I think like if you are taking a workshop for just for hacking phases of hacking, we need at least like what we can say 5 more different days for this particular topic. But what we have packed over here means we have packed where we will be able to do one method, which is a conventional method, which is a very old method, which I think whoever jumps into cybersecurity or whoever would like to learn about hacking or ethical hacking, they will perform a particular a conventional way to create a virus. We can start from virus. Okay, they will try to create a malicious software, which is nothing but a malware. Okay, but here we are specifically creating something called as backdoor. Okay, we are creating something called as backdoor. So backdoor is nothing but a file which will carry a connection, okay, which will be carrying a connection from the victim, or I can call like a user, okay, from the user to the attacker's machine, okay, or to the attacker's C2. C2 is nothing but command and control. Okay, command and control means there are multiple command and control available. For example, like we are having command and control from Covert Strike, or we can build a custom a C2 framework with the help of Empire Stage, or we can build something from Python, or if the individual is having a knowledge in REST language, we can build a custom C2, a command and control. So what the command and control is, I will give an hands-on to that. Before that, we have to build a payload or a backdoor where we will be able to, or a connection can be established from the user to the attacker's machine. So we'll be creating a backdoor. So, and when it comes to technicality or a non-technical conversation or a summary, we used to say backdoor. But when it comes to highly technicality, we will call it as a payload. Okay, payload, we know what is payload, right? Payload is nothing but a carrier. So we'll be creating a carrier file where the carrier file will be creating a connection. For example, if I'm trying to draw something in my screen, I think it's pitch black, right? Yeah, it's pitch black. Okay, so we are having attacker machine. We can take like Kali Linux. Okay, so we are having Kali over here, and that's our attacker system. And we are having the user machine. The user machine, we can say like a client system can be Windows 10 or a Windows 11. So the attacker need to receive a connection from Windows machine. So basically what we have imaginated, or what we have received from movies or comics or news or articles, or those people having knowledge in cybersecurity, they know that we are using Kali Linux for delivering. Okay, we are using an attacker system to deliver the payload. Okay, we are using Kali Linux or any other method, for example, like hosting a phishing campaign or attaching a malicious mail which has a malicious attachment, where the tech guy managed to double tap. What happened? The system will be getting compromised. So eventually Kali is used for it in the first hand. Okay, the Kali is used for delivering the attack. So here the attack can be a payload. Okay, a payload in the form of an exe. Once the exe is executed inside the Windows 11 or Windows 10, what will happen? The system will contact. Okay, the system will contact back to Kali, and this connection is having a name. This connection is known as reverse connection. Okay, this connection is known as reverse connection. Okay, a reverse connection, and we used to call this as reverse TCP or reverse shell. If the attacker is making a contact to the system, it is a normal connection. But if the user, the victim, the target device is connecting back to the the C2 or to the attacker's machine, is known as a reverse connection. So here we are trying to build a reverse connection payload. Okay, reverse connection in the in payload. I believe all of you are on the same page where we have started the lab. Anyone having any trouble or any issue while starting the lab? May I know that before jumping further? Anyone? Anybody having an issue? Shall I continue? Okay, fine. So I'm getting thumbs up, which means I can continue. So
Hello,
yeah, tell me.
hello.
Yeah.
I guess we have joined a little late because the link got
Hmm.
went into the junk folder, so it took us a while to figure it out. But I guess we didn't miss that part of how to access the lab. Can you just please
Oh,
give us
yeah.
a quick walkthrough to that?
Okay. Have you
Sorry for that.
successfully log in? Have you tried to log in the platform?
No, 1 second. Let me search that too.
Okay. So this is the URL to access the platform, which is hands-on.nuvepro.io. Okay. You have to visit this, and you have to use the registered mail ID. Okay. Once you have the registered mail ID input, then you have to use the password, which is cybersec lab 321 where the C is capital and S is also capital. Okay.
Okay.
You will be able to
All right.
find the same in the chat. I will drop the same in the chat. Okay. just
Okay.
just give me some time. I will drop the same in the chat. Or anyone from support or from Nuvepro team, can you just drop the same in the chat? It will be helping.
Um, can you help me to send the registration link, please? I think I have missed the registration link as well. So that's the reason that I couldn't able to log into
Hmm.
Nuvepro. Is that possible to share the
Yeah,
registration
yeah.
link as well?
Just 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is it available to all right now? Can you just check the chat box? I believe it has been dropped. Can you check the reason message, which is dropped by me, which is Vaishnav CV? You can see that. You can see the URL there, the particular endpoint you have to visit for login. Have you guys received it? Okay. Anyone else facing problem to log in?
Uh, while logging, it's showing invalid login. Please try again.
Okay. You can drop your mail ID in the chat. Our support will take care of it. Okay. And they will ping back you. Fine.
Fine.
While attending the session, please just observe the chat. Okay. Maybe they will be connecting back with you in the chat. Okay. Fine. Okay, I'm just assuming that all of you have made a successful login. Okay, it's a very simple process. Okay, just use your registered mail ID and the password that we have already shared, or you can take a screenshot or a photo using your smartphone. This is a password. Okay, fine. Once you've done the login, you will be seeing one particular course survey which is already enrolled, which is Offensive Security Bootcamp. You can click on it and you will be able to see day one, we have already completed that, and then we are having the day two. I was discussing about fundamentals to system hacking. We done some couple of how to like theoretical area, and we are jumping parallel with the theoretical to the hands-on. Okay, can I continue? Okay, so I'm continuing. Once the lab is get started, okay. Once the lab is started, what we can do, we can open the lab in a new tab. Okay, so you can see that when you're observing the lab, which is inside an iframe, where we will be able to expand to a new tab. And I hope everyone can see there is an three icons available. Okay, and the just above the lab in the right hand side, I think you'll be able to see like four different icons available. You have to select the third icon where you will be able to open this in a new tab. Okay, so this is icon where it will be helping you to open the lab in a very enlarged manner in a new tab. Okay, so I'm going to click on the third icon. Once that has been performed, it will be redirecting to a new tab and you will be able to see the lab in a full scale manner. So I hope there is no any confusion how to open the lab in a full scale manner, right? Can I continue? Yeah, yeah, thank you. Once the lab is in a full screen manner, we'll start doing the hands-on comparing with the guided content. So if I'm going back to the page, you can expand this to right and left. Okay, again you will be able to see some options. For example, 1 second. Okay, just one moment. Okay, for example, in this page, near to that third icon, you can see there are two arrows available, one to left and one to right. You have to use the arrow which is pointing to left, where you will be able to expand the theoretical part or the guided content. I hope there is no any confusion in that. The same arrow towards right can be used for accessing the lab, and it is also the same arrow which is pointing to the left hand can be used for expanding the guided content. Can I continue?
Uh, can you repeat it again, like on this after just no lab?
Yeah, okay. So did you start the lab? There will
Yes.
be a, yeah, once you started the lab, it will take like roughly for the first time, it will be taking to 1 to 2 minutes to start. You have to be patient, it will be starting. Once the lab is
Okay.
loaded, you have to use a third icon. There is an icon where you will be able to refresh the lab. Okay, you can make it a full screen and you can open the lab in a new window, the third icon. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So once you're in the third, I mean the new tab, we have to parallelly compare the theory that we have added over here, which is guided content. Okay. So the guided content, you
Mhm.
will be feeling struggle to read and copy paste whatever which is written over here. So for a
Mhm.
solution, what we are having like a two arrow pointing to left and pointing to right. You can see that, right?
Yeah, got it.
Yes. So you have to use the arrow which is pointing to left hand side. Once you click on it, it will be expanding. So you'll be having a very pretty view. You'll be able to read and you will be able to copy paste. Fine.
Okay.
Okay. So we will start doing our hands-on. So right now we'll be starting how to create a conventional payload that can get a reverse connection from a Windows machine to our attacker system is Kali Linux. So we'll be moving back to the second tab, which is nothing but the lab. Okay. I hope all of you are on the same page. There is no any problem right now. We are going to start the hands-on. So we can start opening our VirtualBox. Okay. So in VirtualBox, we have packed with Windows 10 Ubuntu Mate as a desktop, then Kali Linux, again a Windows 10, which is a vulnerable Windows 10 is available, then you will be able to see a reconnaissance lab. Okay. But right now we'll be booting Kali Linux. Okay. We'll be booting Kali Linux and Windows machine. One at a time. Please don't go and double click. It maybe the Windows maybe get corrupted. Okay. And the Kali also may get corrupted. So do one thing, start individually. For example, I'm going to start the Windows lab. Okay. So try to select the first VM. Okay. Try to select the first VM. So I'm going to select the first VM. And once you select the VM, what you can do, you can click on the start icon over here. Is that clear to everyone? So I'm going to click on start. Within a couple of minutes, you will be receiving a window where the VM will be getting launched. Okay. And by the way, if your Windows VM is getting too much time to start, or you're feeling the mouse is getting lag and issue, free feel to stop the VM and try to increase the RAM and core. Okay. This machine is packed with 4-way CPU, 16 GB RAM, so you have enough resource to run all the VMs. Okay. You can see from here, it's a 4-way CPU, 16 GB RAM. Fine. Okay. So the Windows VM is getting boot. Okay, so we can start our Kali Linux. So Kali Linux will be the third VM. Okay, Kali will be the third VM. You can select Kali Linux and you can start the VM. Okay, just click on start green color icon. So Kali Linux is booting. So some users will be facing an issue. For example, like once you engage your mouse within the VM, you'll not be able to take it outside the VM box. For example, this is the VM room available, right? This is a VM room. So you'll not be able to take your mouse out of the VM. So use right control. Okay. Try to use right control. Fine. Try to use right control in your keyboard to release your mouse. So both machines are getting started. And by the way, the credential towards both the systems will be available in the README file. Okay, will be available in the README file. So I'm going to open the README file, which is in the desktop. You'll be able to find it from here. Okay, so we are going to open the README file. So in the README file, you can find the Windows username and password, Kali username and password. Okay, so you can use the credential to log into Kali Linux and Windows VM. Okay, so I'm going to use the credential to log into the Windows VM. Okay, so the Windows VM has been booted over here. Okay, so this is a Windows a VM which is being taken from um, Microsoft website, which is an uh, their licensed version. Okay, then we are having the attacker Linux, which is nothing but the Kali. So we have selected Kali over here. The reason why we have selected Kali Linux over here is it is fully packed with necessary tools, which is required for an ethical hacker to perform certain testings. It's pre-configured. Almost every tools are pre-configured. So let's move back to our command area. I mean, our guided content. So we'll be starting by creating a payload. Okay. Once again, I'm telling what is a payload means. A payload is nothing but a carrier. For example, I'm taking an example of an image. Okay. Just a second. You can see from here. This is an image where you can see the difference between a normal connection and a reverse connection. Okay, a reversal connection. An attacker trying to connect with a server, which is a normal connection, that we can consider as a blind shell. Okay, we are directly connecting, it's a blind shell. If the server or the victim machine or the victim or the user system or the client system is connecting back to the attacker, which is known as a reversal. This is a difference. Okay, this is a difference, and we are using a technical term here, which is known as a reverse TCP connection. Okay, because the mode of connection, the protocol we are using TCP, and the connection is reverse. So reverse TCP connection. So if you are hearing or if you are able to read a report and which is mentioned as the attacker has initiated a reverse TCP connection, which means from the server to the attacker system has connection has been established. So here I have taken an example like an what we can say a connection through an SSH, but the port can be randomized because once for example when you're talking about an organization environmental, all the ports are securely monitored. So I will showcase a method which is an updated method where hackers are trying to bypass port monitoring as well as awaiting antivirus plus, for example, like Splunk, QRadar, how they're doing this. Okay, I'm not saying the accurate method. For getting an accurate method to bypass all of those things, the individual user need to get a knowledge on obfuscation technique and how to bypass SOC level, what we can say, detection rules. So right now, let us jump back to our lab. So we are having Kali Linux and we are having a Windows machine. Okay. So if
So
the license
what will
is, yep,
what will be the password for the Windows machine? Like it's already showing IE user.
a user will be there. You will be able to find a README file in the desktop. Could you be able to find a README file in the host machine? Just below library officer, you will be able to find the README file. Okay, in the README file, you will be able to get the first VM, which is nothing but Windows VM is mentioned, and the password is also mentioned over here. Okay, okay. So we are having the attacker Linux. So first thing is first, let us open the guided content. The guided content is already available in your host machine itself, or you can come back over here, and from here we will be able to copy the command. Okay, we can copy the command, then we can move back to our Kali Linux. Let us open the terminal. Okay, I'm going to open the terminal in Kali. The terminator, I mean, the terminal that we are using is not a default terminal. This terminal is called as Terminator. The reason behind that we are using a custom terminal over here, it has a highly productive way where we'll be able to split the terminal horizontally and vertically, and we can do multitasking. Okay, just for a context. So I can give a normal ls over here. Again, normal ls, you can see there is no any other files. We have a normal directories. So let me do one thing. I'm going to create a new directory like mkdir. I'm going to create a new directory, for example, like day two. Okay, I'm creating a day two directory and I'm changing my path to day two. The reason why I'm creating a directory over here because we are going to create a payload. So I'm going to copy
Vaishnav,
paste the command.
Vaishnav,
Yep.
sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
We have seen very few people have started using the labs. I think there are about 130 plus people who are there in this call, but about only 50 to 55 people have logged into the labs. Request you to please log into the lab and actively engage because it is always better to do it to gain the experience. Just by watching it, you'll not be able to gain the experience. Thank you.
Okay, so as Arun mentioned, please start your lab. You'll be getting an hands-on on system hacking. If anybody facing an issue while starting the lab, please let us know.
On Kali Linux, it's showing like a common prompt where it ramps, it's showing in traps, not the Kali Linux as you.
Okay, I hope you're in the booting process and you're getting a kernel error, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you able to stop your Kali? Okay, just first to shut down your Kali, you can click on the icon which is over here and you can power on your Kali machine. Okay, click on OK and power on your Kali. Then move back to virtual machine. So this is an issue from the latest update of Kali Linux, which is Kali Linux 2024.4.2, the latest version of Kali. Okay, they are still working on it. We can hope that by end of this year we'll be getting a stable version of 2024 edition. So how to resolve this issue? It's very simple. You have to click on settings. Okay, whoever getting an issue while booting Kali Linux and you're getting a black window with some writings and it's not booting, shut down your Kali, go to settings, in system, try to tweak the value of RAM. Okay, try to tweak the value of memory. Okay, and ensure the core is going to be 2 core, and you will be able to just tweak the value, like for example like an 200 MB more or 300 MB more, and click on OK and restart the Kali. Okay,
Okay. And processor?
you can keep it to
Okay.
fine.
Yeah.
Then try to reboot. Okay, if you're facing the same issue, try to again tweak the RAM and try to reboot. Okay, even yesterday night also I checked with the Kali Linux forum, are they are updating this issue? No, they are not bringing it. Maybe in next update we will receive it. Okay, we will fix the problem. Anyway, once we have copied the command from the guided content, okay, the first command, what we'll do, we'll try to run it. Before running it, I will break down what we are trying to do from here. So there is a framework. Okay, there is a framework in Kali Linux, which is a legendary framework. We have to say that when I started my cybersecurity career, this was at the version of one. Okay, version one. Okay, and when I was learning, okay, not my career, when I was learning Kali Linux and cybersecurity, all of those things, the framework name is known as MSF Console. Okay, MSF Console. It's like a short name. The actual name is Meta Exploit Framework. Okay, Meta Exploit Framework. You can open a new terminal in Kali, or you will be able to go to the Kali's um, application menu. You can either search here, or you can go to exploitation tools. Under that, you will be able to see, okay, like a shield with an M icon. You will be able to see that the second one under exploitation framework, Meta Exploit Framework. So Meta Exploit Framework is a complete pack, okay, a complete pack of exploitation tools, auxiliary scanners, post exploitation methods, payload creations, encoders. We have different kinds of nukes to kill certain things, and 9 different aviation techniques. So you can read that from here. Okay, the current version of Metaexploit is the developer edition, which is version 6 over here. Okay, so this was a complete pack. I still remember when I was a in my previous careers, I was a cybersecurity trainer, and I used to say that using this, we'll be able to hack like 85 percentage of internet service. I was talking this late 2020, 2090, I think. Okay, at that period we will be able to hack like an 85% of internet. Why? Because we are having outdated components, we are having IP leakage, lack of WAF and web application firewalls. So using this framework we will be able to leverage and we will be able to get into the system. Right now I can say like a percentage of a 50 chance we will be able to hack some service in the internet. Okay, but still they are working on it. Every 6 months we'll be receiving lot more payloads and exploits over here. Okay, and by the way, what we have over here, it is nothing but a banner. You can make a clear screen. Even you can type ls, pwd, id command, ipa. All Linux commands can be performed in this terminal. It's an interactive shell combined to the normal Linux machine. So you'll be able to do the clear screen. And if you're typing like a command, for example, like BANNER, which is banner, and enter, you'll be able to get their what we can say like an Easter egg. We'll be getting some random banners from here, but we are not here for the banner. We are here to read it. Okay, you just go through it. We can see how to select and how well packed this particular framework is. Okay, so let us make a clear screen, and I will show you one interesting module, which is known as search module. Okay, we have a search module. Just think that you are in a situation that you manage to identify that you are having an outdated or a present version of OpenSSH. Okay, you have a present version of OpenSSH, and you have to compare, do this version of OpenSSH contains any public exploits, which is inside MSF console. You can do what? Or meta exploit. Open meta exploit in Kali Linux. You can use the search parameter and you can simply search for OpenSSH and enter. Okay, so you can see from here, we are having some matchings. We are having some post exploitation technique. We are having some auxiliary scanners and exploits is also available. Okay. Every exploit has its own ranking system over here. For example, great. We will get what we can say excellent, normal, some values, some ranking systems are none. Okay. Some auxiliary scanners they have added it, but they didn't checked it or they didn't tested it. But in the situation of an exploit, what we can see, which was released on okay, it's a grandfather exploit, I will say. Anyway, we'll be able to find recently, not recently means in within a 4 months period, if there is any exploit released 4 months back, we'll be able to find that over here. Okay, for example, let us make an search for service like FTP. See, these are the FTP exploits and auxiliary scanners. So auxiliary scanners are nothing but a pre-built script where it will automatically go and check does this exploit will work there, like having an a partial passive scan and check whether those exploits are working over there. So if you are reducing the font size, you will be able to read, okay, individual exploit in a proper way. Okay, the version numbers, the architecture, the platform, everything, or even they have mentioned some descriptions where we will be able to do this and why it is being affected. Okay, here it is an buffer overflow attack can be seen from here. And in most scenario it is a buffer overflow. We can see an what we can say Windows executable downloads, which is an PowerShell download can be pushed towards an FTP server with an payload capability. So you will get the both the payload when this is being released, what is the rank of it, whether it is being checked, and a small part of a description can be found from here. So this is a heavy packed framework. Okay, this is a heavy packed framework over here. So when you're talking about the framework is also having and one more another utility which is known as MSF Venom. Okay, so here we are using an MSF Venom to generate payloads. Okay, neither it can be a normal raw payload or we can encode the payload. Okay, there are different encoders available. Why we are using an encoded payload means the payload will be an obfuscated payload. Okay, the term obfuscation is nothing but what to ensure the communication between the user and the attacker is getting getting encrypted. And by the way, the not only the connection or the communication, even the script or the particular payload that is itself what obfuscated. Okay, and if you're wondering why we require an obfuscation technique right now, because in 2024 we are having lot more protection softwares. For example, like Symantec is available. We are having Curador. We are having like SOC and SIM systems are available. So easily they will able to pick the exe and uploading to any pool platform. For example, very common pool platform is VirusTotal. Okay, if the organization is having an access to a VirusTotal API and integrated with a SIM solution or a SOC solution, if an employee is recently, okay, within 1 minute he have download something like an payload.exe. That payload.exe is sending to VirusTotal using the API, fetching the information. If the information contains any red flags, a SOC ticket can be created and they can do a further investigation. So for creating less what we can say detections or alerts or anomalies, what the advisory will do, the hackers will do, they will try to implement an obfuscation method. But here, as I mentioned in the initial, this is a conventional method to create a payload, a very old technique. I'm not saying this is a updated one and this will work. Okay, it will work. It will make a communication, but at the end, what will happen? Let's see what will happen. Okay, so let us try to create a payload. So for creating a payload, we required MSF Venom. And talking about Kali, it's well configured. Everything is in the machine. So we can type like MSF Venom. Okay, and hyphen hyphen help and enter. You will be able to see all the help menus. Okay, all the help menu. By default, they have mentioned an example. For example, MS Venom, which is used for creating a payload. P stands for platform or the payload. See, it's a payload. So we are creating a payload over here. Then we have to talk about what is a platform, which is a Windows Metapita. Okay, when we are jumping into offensive security, especially in system hacking, this Metapita Once in a while it will come up. Why? Because Metapeter is an interactive shell standing in between the attacker and the victim or the user in between. Okay, for example, if we are passing an attacker is passing a command, I required access to microphone or I required access to Windows registry. That is a command which is specifically built for meta exploit. That command need to be translated to the platform. What is a platform? The platform is Windows. So that translation is taken care by Metapeter. So Metapeter is already pre-configured and well designed to make the translation for Mac, Linux, Android, and the exploit that we are trying to do. So it will be taken care by the Metapeter. So we'll be telling what will be the interpreter in between. So it is Metapeter. Then what mode of communication? It's a reverse TCP communication. We will not contact, we will just deliver, but the victim or the target should contact back us. Okay. So the target will be contacting back, as I mentioned over here, a reverse connection. Okay. Since we are using the connection protocol as TCP, it's a reverse TCP communication. Okay. A reverse TCP communication. And that's the reason why here we are mentioning reverse TCP. Then the L host. L host, that's a very important element when we are designing a virus or a worm or a Trojan, anything. Okay, in offensive manner, I'm saying. I'm not including all of you guys are hackers like mentioning like we. Okay, so when hackers do they used to develop a payload or a carrier, they are very concerned about L host. Why? This is the address of the attacker. If you are developing a payload, okay, this is an attacker machine, then we are having the target system over here, which is a Windows machine over here. Then here we are having the Kali. So if the Windows need to communicate to the Kali Linux, the payload, okay, because the payload is running over here, the payload should know Kali Linux address. Here the address is nothing but what? IP address. Okay, the address is nothing but the IP address. If the IP address is available in the payload can make the communication. Yes, it can make the communication, but Kali will not be able to listen it. Okay, similar to what we can say like SSH or for example like port 80. For example, port 22 is specifically assigned for SSH by default. There is no any specific rule SSH should be only running in port number 22 by default. Okay. And port 80, we all know Apache Nginx by default, it will be running in port 80. So it will be an HTTP communication. Similar to that, each service has its own port number. Kali should enable, okay? Kali should enable what? Enable a port number for the payload to listen. So in Kali Linux, we'll be creating a listener. Okay, we'll be creating a listener. That listener will be running in a port number, for example, 8088. Okay, or 8888. We'll be listening in a port called as 8888. So this port number need to be saved when we are creating or generating the payload inside the carrier file. So the payload will be containing two values. One will be L host and L port. Okay, the listener host, which is nothing but the Kali's IP address, listener port, where the Kali specifically listening for the payload that we are creating. So that's the reason we are having two values over here that we have to input. Okay, manual input, which is nothing but L host, the IP address of Kali Linux or the attacker VM or the C2 framework. Again, C2 means command and control. Then L host is nothing but the port, okay, the freely accessible port in Kali, where Kali is specifically listening communication from the payload that we are creating. Okay, at the end, we are mentioning what is a format. The format we can say like a raw exe. Here we are creating an exe payload. You can create a payload in the form of an PowerShell and or in a format of a Python file. But in the case of a Python file, if you're creating a payload in a case of a Python file, the user or the victim required a Python environmental pre-configured in the machine. If Python is not pre-configured, what is the problem? You will send the file, the user or the target will run it, will not get the connection. Why? Python is not installed. So it's always ideal to create an how to like like a generic way, okay, a normal way to deliver the payload. It will be an exe and hyphen o is nothing but to take the output. Okay, we are taking the output to a file name called as payload.exe. Okay, so let us go back to the lab. Okay, I will be moving back to the lab where we are trying to generate the payload. So while generating the payload, we required the Kali IP address. So let me take the Kali IP. So for taking Kali IP, I'll be opening one more terminal. I'm going with the command which is nothing but ifconfig and enter. So in ifconfig, you will be able to find multiple adapters. Okay, you'll be getting multiple adapters, but I suggest go with the DHCP IP address, which is an IPv4 of 192.168.56.102. The adapter name is ETH1. Okay, the adapter name will be ETH1. So we'll be opening ETH. I will be using ETH1 IP address. So copy and copying. You can do it in two manner. You can select, right click and copy, or use Control Shift C. If you're providing Control C, what will happen? An abort, an execute, or an exit will happen. But I recommend go with Control Shift C. Okay, we have copied the IP. Moving back to the MS Venom command, replacing lhost value, which is your IP, will be changing to Kali Linux IP address. Okay, then the port number. Okay, the port number L port. L port should be a port which is being not used by any other services. So we have to check that do Kali using any port number. What we can do, we can quickly do like an nmap -p localhost. Okay, nmap -p localhost. So nmap is network scanner. Okay, so nmap is a network scanner, and -p will be scanning the entire port number, which is 65,535 ports. It will be scanning the entire port range of localhost, which is nothing but the loop IP. And here we can see they have scanned entire port number and only one port is being received, and this port belongs to double 834, which is nothing but an SS Pro is running in Kali. So it is receiving this port number. So we can use any number, not 8834. So what I'll do, I'm going for a fancy number which is going to be 5656. I'm going for 5656. And at the end, if you wish to say rename the payload into something very catchy that can implement like a social engineering, where once you send the file, the victim or the user need to click it and run it, right? So accordingly you can change it, but I'm keeping it as default, which will be payload.exe, giving an enter. Within a couple of seconds, the payload will be generated to the directory that we have created. Already we have created a directory over here. In the home directory, we create a directory called as day2. We use cd command to switch the directory. You can see it from here. There only we are trying to run the command. Okay, so the payload is being generated. NLS, we have the payload.exe. Anyone, any question, any blockers up to here before?
I wish so.
Yeah.
Getting permission denied error to create day2 directory.
Permission denied in Kali.
Yeah.
Okay. May I know what is a PWD that you are right now? The current path in terminal.
I am at default.
Default. Okay. Okay. Default means it will be like something like this. Home Kali, right?
Yes.
Okay. In home Kali, you can perform like mkdir. No any problem will be there. You can create day 2 or day 1, day 3. No issue. Give an enter. There will not be any permission denying problem. Could you try that?
Yeah. Checking.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any blockers? Any problem while creating the payload?
Yeah. Done now. Yeah,
Done.
thanks.
Okay. Yeah. You can copy paste the
Adoption.
command from here. Okay. Command from the guided content and just replace the IP address and the port number. Yeah.
Yeah, how where can I check this lhost and lport?
Yeah. Yeah, I will get to that. Anyone else have the similar problem to lhost and lport?
I'm getting an error
Yes.
called invalid option.
Invalid option. Did
Yeah.
you change the lhost value and lport value?
Yeah.
Are you sure? Did you replace everything?
Yeah. 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 Everything I've replaced with the things you
Okay,
have mentioned.
okay. So for a reference, I will try to drop the command. Okay, okay. For a reference, I'm dropping that. You can find from the chat. Just compare. Okay, just compare the command, or you can copy paste that too. So I will discuss what is lhost and lport. So once again, the lhost. Okay. So the lhost can be identified by performing an if config command. Okay. So open a new terminal in Kali and you can perform a command like if config. Okay, where we'll be able to see the available interface. And from here, we will be able to take the if config command. Okay. So this is the lhost. So lhost means the attacker IP address, which will be 192.168.56.201. I hope all of you are having 56.201 as an IP address. Okay. And L port, we can mention any port number because
That is
5656 is not reserved.
56.102 actually.
56.102. Yeah.
Okay.
Shall I continue?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Vishnu,
yeah.
I'm unable to
What about
copy paste the
Lhost?
command from local to a VDI.
Could you repeat the question once again?
Yeah, I'm unable to copy and paste the command from local to VDI.
Okay. No an issue. What you can do means you can open the file manager. Are you able to see Kali option is available? Then a show desktop option is available. Then you're having third icon, which is nothing but the file manager. Could you open the folder? Once you open the folder, okay, open the folder, you can go to desktop. Could you able to go to desktop? In desktop, you can find SF resource. SF resource.
Mm.
Okay. In SF resource, you can see sample reports. Can you see sample report?
Yes.
Yeah, go to sample report and you will be able to find day two workshop.html, not day two CMD command. I'm talking about the first file, day two workshop.html. Okay. So just double tap. Within a moment, Firefox will be launched with the HTML file. From there, you can make the copy paste. Okay.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And what was the second question? Something regards with
Lhost.
lhost. Lhost, right?
Lpost. Port.
Lport, where we are giving a unique port number, where we are only listening from communication from that payload that we are taking an output. Okay. Okay. So here you can see that we have a terminal and you can see I'm running nmap. I'm running nmap to ensure that port number 5656 is not used by anyone. So it's not there. Okay, we have scanned the entire port range from 1 to 65,535 ports. In that range, only one port is being reserved, which is 8834 by Nessus Pro, which is an vulnerability scanner. So it's running in the background. So we are able to use what? The port number 5656. Okay. Once
Okay.
you've done the change, you'll be getting an output like this. If you're performing an LS, you can see payload.exe is being generated. Okay.
Bad pattern.
Okay. So we are continuing how we can transfer the file to Windows machine. Okay. So we are having the Windows VM up running over here. We have to transfer the file. So there are multiple ways to transfer the file. For example, just consider that you are here to learn malware analysis. So from an isolated environmental to another isolated environment, since both are then in a same network adapter, you can start a Python web server in Kali. Then you can open browser in Windows machine and you can transfer the file. Okay, there is one way we can transfer the file. But if anyone know with Python web server, it will be more complicated when I'm discussing about lport and lport, lhost and lport. So what we have done here, we will move the file to where? We'll be moving the file to SF resource. Okay, we'll be moving the file to SF resource directory, and we can open the same SF resource in Windows machine. Both of the VMs are sharing one directory. Okay, for example, if I'm opening file manager in Windows VM, and if you're going to this PC in Windows VM, scroll down, you'll be able to see network locations resource is been attached. For double tapping on that, you will be able to see all the directories which is mentioned in Kali will be available over here. So what we will do, we will transfer the payload to SF resource. Is that clear to everyone? This is a very important step. Since this is a sensitive file, we will be transferring in this manner. So what I'll do, yeah, I will right click my terminal. I will split the terminal vertically. Okay. In one terminal, I will go to my home directory by performing a simple cd command. Giving a ls, we will be able to see desktop, cd, desktop, enter. Again an ls, we can see SF resource. We can make an cd to SF resource and ls. So to this directory, what we will do, we will transfer the file. Okay. If you're very friendly with terminal, you can do like that, or you can use the file manager to copy and paste. Okay, both will work. Okay, so the very simple action will be you can go to Kali, you can go to the day two directory. You can go to day two directory. You can right click from here. You can copy it and you can directly paste to SF directory. But I'm a terminal person, so I will be using terminal. Okay. So in the terminal, how to do that? Very simple. Collect the PWD. Okay. So PWD where we have to transfer the file. So I'm double tapping. I'm copying the path where we need to make the transfer, and I'm going to copy it. I'm not going to move it. So cp -r, the file that we need to transfer, which would be payload.exe, the destination where we are transferring it, the path, the SF resource directory, give an enter. There is no any error, good sign. We can come back to the split screen, perform an ls, we will be able to see payload.exe. Just before it was not there, right now we are having payload.exe. Any questions, anyone? Any questions, anyone? Shall I continue? Okay. So once you have the file, okay, once you have the file in this directory, the next thing, just to check, okay, we are not going to execute, just follow my instruction, otherwise you will get error. Okay, because so far we didn't enable the listener, we haven't enabled the C2 framework. If you are executing payload.exe in Windows machine, it will run, but you will not be able to get the connection. Why? Because we haven't started the connection, right? So just for a reference, just to verify that it is available in Windows machine, what we will do, we will move back to our Windows virtual machine. And if I am taking a look over here, I'm not able to see, but once again, if I'm going to this PC, double tap on the file, and here we can see payload.exe. See, I'm not clicking it. I'm just hovering my mouse. Please don't click. Okay. I'm having payload.exe. That's a verification. Okay. We have the file right now. We are not going to double tap right now. Okay. We'll do that within a moment. Now we have to enable the listener. So to enable the listener, what we required? We required a multi-handler session. Okay, we required a multi-handler session where we can accept and we can interact with the reverse connection. Okay, or reversal connection. For that, we have to literally, we have to manually type those comments. Okay, so neither you can copy paste one by one command. One thing we can do like that. Okay, or you can copy all of them at a time. You can move back to Kali Linux. Okay, and you can open the notepad. Okay, sorry, notepad in Windows. In Kali, it is mousepad. So let us open mousepad. Okay, the fourth icon from here. It's a text editor. So we can open mousepad. We can paste it over here. So we have the command. Okay, from this command, we have to tweak some values. Okay, tweak some values means Kali's IP address. So that is lhost, the lhost that we provide just above. Okay, so I'm going to provide the lhost value, which will be 192.168.56.102. Okay, and L port. In my situation, I provided 5656. Same, you have to provide. I mean, if you are following 5656, do that. If you are following 1234, just provide that. Okay, so I'm going for 5656. At the last, it's a exploit command. So let us park the payload over here. I mean the notepad over here. Then let us close the terminal. This is not required. The split is not required since we already transferred the file. Okay, let us do one thing. Let us keep this. Let us minimize this, and we already have a terminal, right? We already have a Metapita terminal running in the background. Yeah, see, we are having an MSF console terminal. So to this terminal, what we will do? We will do the action. Okay. So to this terminal, what we will do? We will do the action. So let us try to keep side by side the command that we will be copy paste and the MSF console over here. So for a quick view, we have the banner command over here to ensure that we are in the MSF console. Okay. We can make a clear screen. First thing is first, we have to use exploit multi-handler. There can be multiple questions from users or the participants from here. What is use, what is exploit, what is multi, and what is handler? Use means we are using an exploit framework. Okay. Multi means we are accepting multiple connections and we need to handle that. Okay. So use multi-handler. We are going to copy, paste, enter. No any error. By default, MSF console knows that it will be configured with a generic shell over here. Okay, a generic shell over here. But we required a shell or a payload which is specifically for Windows Metapita reverse TCP. We are because we are accepting reverse TCP communication. So we are setting a value. The value is payload. Okay, what payload? It is for the platform for Windows. Okay, Metapita will be handling it, and the connection will be reverse TCP. So we will be copying the second command, paste in the terminal, give an enter. Right now, what happened? The payload has been switched right now. Okay. Then the last three commands. Okay. We will look into it. Let us wait. Let us do one thing. Let us try to enlarge the terminal and try to perform this command, which is going to be show options and enter. Okay. Show options and enter. So in show options, we can see we are having payload options over here. Okay, payload options. When we are doing an exploit, we need one more option called as exploit. Right now, we are not exploiting any services. We are creating a payload where we will be, we are making a listener for the payload that we already created. So we can focus on payload option. In payload option, we have to provide lhost and lport. So lhost is nothing but what? The listener address where we would like to receive the value that the connection, which is Kali's IP address. So lhost. Okay, neither you can copy paste the entire value like this or you can type it. Okay, so I'm going to copy paste like this. Okay, lhost is equal to which will be 192.168.56.2, which is Kali's IP address, and enter. Okay. The next value will be L port. It's already configured by default for 4444, but we can change that by mentioning set space L port 5656, because that's a value that we mentioned for creating the payload. We can give an enter. All the values are set. The last command is exploit. Before doing that, we can make a clear screen. Okay. So before clearing the screen, I hope all of you have come up to here. There is no any error. There's no any blocker. You're able to perform all the actions up to set lhost is equal to 5656. Can I continue? Can I continue? Anyone, any issue, any blockers? No, right? Okay. So I'm going to clear my screen, but no worries. I'm going to mention again, show options and enter. We can see the values that we input. Okay. The exploit multi-handler, Windows Metadata reverse TCP, the hell host, which is Kali's IP address, L port, the port that we would like to listen the communication. At the end, we have to perform the last value, which is exploit. Okay, exploit command. So we can mention exp loit and enter. Right now, what will happen means MSF console will be opening a session for us. Okay, opening a session, or it's ready to accept a session. It has been started a reverse TCP handler. Reverse TCP handler, a handler which will be accepting a TCP protocol, and it will be a reverse communication, which will be coming to Kali's IP address colon 5656. So the communication is ready. Okay. Up to here, anyone, any questions? Because we are going to run the payload. Anyone, any question? Can I continue?
Can you show that how to copy that
Hmm.
command and all from
Can you tell the
local
Windows
to?
credential, that Windows password and that is IE user password, right?
What was the question once again?
Windows is asking credential, Windows VM.
Yeah, you will be able to find that in the desktop. Could you able to see that in desktop we are having a readme file.
Okay.
In the readme file, there is a session where you can see Windows 10 username and password. Okay. Please do not forget the exclamation at the end. Okay.
And can you tell me that how to copy that from local to VM? That command and all.
The command I dropped, I think just 2 minutes before. Are you able to find the command?
Yeah. So we copied here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ensure that you are in the same directory. Okay. Ensure that you are in the same directory.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Then only it will be transferring the file. Okay. Fine.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Once we have started, I'm just continuing. Okay. Because we
Yeah.
have one area where we will be able to bypass Windows. That's a very interesting topic. So I'm just moving forward. So you can see once this is completed, there is no any red color lines. There is no any error, no flag, no alert. What we can do, we can keep the Kali aside. Okay. So I'm going to adjust or rearrange Kali Linux size. Okay. Kali VM size. I'll tell you why. You'll understand why I'm doing this. Okay. Then we are having inside, we are having what? We are having the Windows VM. Okay. We are having the Windows VM over here. So from the Windows VM, I'm going to trigger or I'm going to detonate what? The payload.exe. Okay. So how I open this folder, File Explorer, very simple. File Explorer, this PC, you'll be able to find resource. Okay. So I'm going to double tap on the payload.exe. Just observe what is going to happen in both the systems. Okay. Some things will happen over here and what will happen over here. Okay. So make sure that you guys are observing here and here. Okay. So I'm going to double tap on the payload.exe, waiting, and what we have received. we received a communication. I will freeze the screen. Okay. Um, right now the screen is freezed. It's not a live, what we can say, the podcast. Okay. Screen share. It's a free screen right. So you can see okay, once I triggered the file, which is payload.exe that we created with the help of MSF Venom, which is a virus or a carrier, which is a payload or a backdoor that will be carrying a connection from Windows machine to Kali, a reverse TCP communication. What just happened over here? It has established the communication. The second line all the way to here, it established the communication. Okay, you can see stage, sending a stage. Okay, and we can have what session one open. To be very frank, I had done this more than 3,000 time. I has done the same thing, but even though right now I'm very happy. Why? Because in real world scenarios, it's very hard to see session one open. Why? Because everything is fully secure. So even in my testing time also, I wish there could be one way I will receive a session one, but it will not happen. So you can see session one has been created. So it's a big thing. Okay. And I can see this connection is received by 192.168.56.21, which is Kali, to this port number. By whom? That's the question. By whom or from where we have received the connection? We have received the connection from 192.56.1. The question is why one? We didn't mention the gateway or the NAT adapter or the bridge adapter, whatever it is. We didn't mention one. I'll tell you why. And the port number. Why this port number? Or from where this port number came? The payload is actually running in a different port number. Okay. The connection is coming from 192.168.56.1, but the connection is established from the Windows machine to Kali from the port number 63482. That's a port number. It's running in a different port number. Okay, it's running in a different port number, using that port number to make a communication to 5656 to Kali's IP address. Okay, so right now we have a shell, but very interestingly, what we have over here, we are having the virus alert, the big defender alert over here. If the machine is an what we can say an enterprise environmental, we'll get an alert from ELK, we'll get an alert from Splunk, QRadar, or OpenCTI, whatever the SIM or the solution which is implemented by the organization, both the user as well as the SOC employee will get an alert. Why? Because the payload that we created, as I mentioned, is a conventional payload. It's a very commonly used payload. It's a very the signatures are publicly available. Okay, the signatures are publicly available. Okay, so that's the reason why the virus has been detected over here. Okay, every time when we receive a normal Big Defender update, what is an update? It's not update for the current version. They are updating the local repo of the virus model. Okay, there is a database in our system itself which will be containing almost every signatures. Okay, every signatures of what commonly available viruses. So this has been detected. If I'm unfreezing, you'll be able to see the alert from here. The alert from here, it is been disappeared, and the connection got dead. Okay, the connection got dead. Why? Windows Defender has done its job. If I'm going to the system tray, okay, I hope all you know what is system tray. So in Windows, if I'm going back to the system tray, we can see I'm having a red flag in Windows Defender. If I'm trying to take the red flag, and let's see what is an option. There is a virus protection over here. Let me click on that. Okay, and what happened? The Metapeta communication which was established and Windows Defender was turned off. So let us turn it on back. Okay, I'm going to turn it on, agreeing to the UAZ, the user access control. I'm going to agree that the virus threat protection has been enabled. Okay, once it is enabled, if I'm double tapping on the file also, what will happen? It's a dangerous file. Why? Because it's already alert has been generated. And if you're taking a look over here, once I click on diagnosis, what will happen? A sample will be transferred from the Windows machine to Microsoft Center. Later on, it will come back and tell that we are going to delete the file, or the file will be getting isolated, or the file will be getting quarantined. So this is a very basic and old method to hack a machine. Okay. So anyone, any question, how we establish the communication and what happened with the file and it is not running right now? Anyone? Any questions, any queries?
How how can we came to this resource, this PC and resource? Could you please show how you came to this resource?
In the Windows you're talking.
Yes, like
Yes,
how
yes.
did it came here? This
Okay. Okay. I will close the terminal. I will minimize Defender. You can see from here, right? In the bottom, we are having file manager in Windows. In bottom, that we are having file manager or file explorer. You can open that. Okay. Then in the left hand side, we are having this PC. Okay. We can click on this PC, scroll down. We'll be able to see a network share disk where this disk has been shared across with the host machine and with the Kali. Okay. Just go and double tap
this
and you will
resource
be able to
is
see it.
not present in the our system. I think network discovery is turned off, as well as
Hmm.
this PC the drive is not showing
Okay.
network.
Okay. Can you share your mail ID? My support will take care of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And if any screenshot is available, just drop that too, or you can write a mail to our support. Okay. Okay. Anyone, any other question before jumping? Shall I continue? Okay. I'm continuing. Okay. So since we have established the communication from Windows to Kali, I strongly believe some of you will be asking this question, but I'm getting a complete silence. Is there any way to know our machine has been compromised without using a SIM solution or with a basic investigation or a basic look around? I was expecting that question, but everyone was silent. Yeah, so the answer to this question, Microsoft has released so many utilities. Okay, by the way, it is free and the utilities are available from their store also. Okay, and one of the utility that you can use is known as TCP view. Okay, okay, so the one of the utility will be TCP view. Then you will be having process monitor and process explorer. So I will right click on TCP view. 7-zip is already installed in Windows machine. I'm just trying to do extract here. Okay, or you can even give extract 2 also. So I'm going for extract 2. So within a moment, like TCP will be configured over here, or I mean like unzipped over here. So if I'm going back to this PC, coming back and double tap, what will happen? You can see TCP has been created, a folder has been created. You can go into this directory and you will be able to see multiple EXEs. Okay, since this VM is 64 edition, we can use the second last EXE, double tap. Okay, one second, just a moment. Yeah, this one. Okay, this the third icon. Okay, the third file. Get double tap on that. So you'll be getting an what we can say a license agreement. Just click on the license. Okay, okay, just a moment. Okay, I will open a process mode over here. Okay, TCP is having issue with me, but no issue. Both of them are saving the same use case. One is used for monitoring TCP communication which is happening in your machine, and you will be able to have a chart. In the chart, you will be able to see what is a local IP address as well as what is the incoming and outgoing IP address. Based on that, what we will do, we will be able to filter the application. So here you can see the different type of process which is happening in your machine. Okay, and from here you can see what operations they are doing, what is a file they are trying to access, what kind of modification, what kind of changes they are doing, then the results. Okay, what actions has been completed successfully, or any blockers are happening. So this can be used for what, to understand any anomaly files or executions are happening in your machine. Okay, so similar to that, TCPU is a wonderful service, but unfortunately it's not running for me. Maybe with the zip file got corrupted, something happened. Okay, TCP is not happening, but it's a wonderful utility. So you can just download it from Microsoft semantic tools. You will be able to take it from there. Okay, so this is one of an only way, like if you are not having an SIM solution, to identify if your machine or the what we can say, the laptop is getting compromised or not. And one of the other ways to block unnecessary ports. Okay, block unnecessary ports from firewall. And in firewall itself, we can enable one particular option. If an application, for example, application like Edge or Firefox is trying to access an internet, we'll receive a pop-up. We can do that in from AD level, from Active Directory level. We can make the changes from an custom, what we can say, from a control panel level. We can do that. We have to manually do what? Manually allow the permission to Firefox to get an internet connectivity. Okay, since the attacker is not going to use lhost, I mean local IP address, they will be using an server IP address. They may use an what we can say, um, um, like a domain. From the domain, they will be, I mean, the payload that we are creating will be fetching the txt record. The text record may be the C2 server's IP address. So they will be planning the payload in multiple format. So this is just a conventional way that we managed to do what we managed to compromise the Windows machine. Okay, so anyone, any questions with how we done this process? Because now we are jumping into the level where we will be able to what we can say, we will be doing the second option. I mean, the day two, we are having one more session which will be creating a payload for Windows 11 and Ubuntu, which is an obfuscated method where we are going to bypass the antivirus solution. Anyone, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. The thing you did on exploit thing, the multi-handler thing, it is
Mhm.
not running in my VM. Can you please
Uh,
show it to me again? Because I actually got disconnected in that
mhm.
part.
Okay, no issue. So we can exit from here. Okay, I'm just exiting from MS console. So right now I'm not in MS console. You can see from here I'm in Kali, right? I'm in Kali terminal. You not knowing it out, right? I'm in Kali terminal.
Yes, yes,
Okay, I'll make a clear screen. Do you remember that we managed to copy all the commands into a text file?
yes.
Okay, I will enlarge this. You remember that we managed to copy this to a notepad, all the commands, right?
Yeah.
So we can save this. So what I'll do means I'm going to file, I'm going to save. Okay, I'm going to save. Then I will shape it like this because some options are going to the bottom part. Then I'm going into desktop. Okay, or I can go to Kali itself. Yeah, I'll go to home, Kali. Okay, I will be in home itself. I'll go to home directory, which will be Kali. And from here, what I'll do, I'm going to rename the file. Okay, I'm going to rename the file into, for example, like win rev shell dot rz. See the extension? The extension is rz. You can give a name, any name, no any problem. There is no any naming convention over here. You can give a name dot rc file. Okay, rc file. And from text, I'm going to save this as all. Okay, it was a txt format. From here, I'm going to change this to all files, and I'm going to save this. No any confusion, right? We managed to save this. Can I continue? Ensure that you have been replaced the IP address and the port number of Kali Linux, what you provide for the payload. Okay. Have you done all the way to here? Can I continue?
Yeah, I saved the file after that.
Okay. Coming to home directory, if you're giving an ls, you will be able to see the file that we save, the RC file. Okay. You can see that. So the question is what we will do with the RC file. So MSF console has multiple options. In one of the option is known as resource for exploit, which will be MSF console -r, where we will be mentioning the file that we managed to save, which is having an extension of .rz. Okay. So what will happen here means I'm going to run this. Okay. I'm going to run the command, give an enter. MSF console will be kickstarted or very quickly. One thing. Second, it will automatically fetch us the commands that we written inside the RC file and is going to start the exploit. Can you see we didn't mention the reverse TCP, the L host, the L port to MSF console. We only added them where in the RC file. From the RC file, it is automatically fetching. This is an one of the best method to run the exploit. Okay, for an easy way, we can do this. So this feature was enabled on MSF console version 3, and right now we are having 6. So they have made more improvements to the automation part. Okay. Your problem is resolved, right?
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, okay. So how to exit from here means you can give a control Z and you can give exit command and you will be exiting from there. Okay. So I'm going to exit all the terminals that we are having over here. Why? In Kali, I'm telling, okay, in the Kali, because we are going to use a new utility. Okay, we are going to use a new utility where we will be able to create an authentication payload. Okay, so I'm going to the main course, which is Offensive Security Bootcamp. In day 2, we can see creating a payload for Windows 11 and Windows 10 plus Ubuntu with an updated authentication method. Okay, so just go and select that. From here, we have to click on start project or continue project, whatever the status, just click on it. It will automatically redirects to a new page where we have to start the lab. Okay. I hope all of you are up to this page, right? Anybody facing any issues, any problem? The lab will be automatically started since the both courses are using same lab. Anyone, any issue? No, right? Shall I continue with the lab? Okay. So I'm
Yes.
going to open the lab into the new tab. Okay. I'm going to open the lab into the new tab. Okay. Once it is logged, what we can do, we can expand the guided content to the left hand and we will be able to read it. So here we have a framework called as villain framework. Okay, so I will give an idea what is villain framework. So villain framework, it was initially part of a GitHub. Okay, GitHub repo. You can go to this GitHub repo and you can download this to your Kali machine locally, no any problem. You can do that. Talking about this repository, this was created, I think like 3 years back, 4 years back. Sorry, this was created like 3 to 4 years back. Okay, maybe like to like edge of 2020, and it was very popular in 2021. Okay, so this developer has multiple branches. If you know about GitHub, you know that. So this guy is like very crazy creating, spending times in different branches and creating all the utilities. But there is a problem. You know that once a service has been released and the service is getting more popular day by day, okay, and the creator will think that I should not release that particular feature. I should release that in the maybe after 2 release or 3 release. So what this developer has done means he managed to like degrade the features where he will release that in upcoming release. So the current release you can use it, no any problem. It is working. It will generate a payload. You will be getting a video from here. Everything is there. But the problem is the payload that we are generating from here, it is not going to obfuscate or not going to aviate or bypass AV, which is an antivirus. It is not going to bypass. So luckily, what I have done means I'm having a repo, okay, which is um, I'm having a repo called as Kerala Hacker. So under my repo, what I have done means I managed to fork it. Okay. So if anyone from cybersecurity, you know that if interesting tool releasing in cybersecurity, we don't have time. What we will do immediately, we will fork that to our private repo and later on we will take a look, right? So for 3 months, I didn't touch this. I simply forked to my repo. Still now, I didn't touch anything. It's a raw code. 2 years back. See, 2 years back, it's a raw code. Okay, I'm not following. He has done more than 100 commit. I'm not going to update the repo. You know why? Because the code which is available in my repo is going to do what? Obfuscate the Windows Defender. Okay, I'm not talking about any other antivirus solution, specifically Windows Defender. Okay, but here also there is a problem. Windows Defender will get update, right? Windows Defender will get update, the database, the way that they will do the detection, everything is getting update. So again, what I done here means in our lab, I managed to customize that. Okay, in our lab, I managed to customize that where you can find the framework means already the commands are mentioned. Okay, you have to git clone it from the repo which is Kerala Hacker. You have to git clone the villain framework. You have to make a CD directory. Then you have to install the requirements. And if you're reading the disclaimer, I have already modified the code where it will be trying to obfuscate Windows Defender. Okay, how to run the framework? Python 3 or Python villain.py. What will happen? The framework will be launched. Later on, we will discuss. Okay, we'll discuss this. So let us try to run the framework. In our lab, it is being pre-configured. Open a single terminal. Okay, currently you will be in the home directory. From here, we'll be moving to desktops. Okay, desktops, ls, we will be able to see SF resource. We can go to SF resource and we can make a clear screen for a better view. Okay, here you will be able to see villain according to alphabetic order. We at the end we'll be able to see villain framework. Up to here, no any doubt, no any questions, right? How we managed to come to desktop SF resource, basic navigation commands, CD and ls. Okay, we will move to this directory which is villain framework. Okay, villain framework. We have all the requirements over here. Okay, we have all the requirements. The Python file, the requirement is pre-configured in the machine to run. How to run this? As they mentioned, as we mentioned in the guided content, we can use Python villain.py. So we are going to run that by providing Python 3, use Python 3. Okay. Then villain, V is in capital, which means it's a case sensitive. So villain.py and enter. Wait for a couple of seconds. The framework will be launched over here. Okay. I didn't manage to change the creator's name. Let it be like that because he is the, like, he created this, right? A wonderful framework. But later on, he have removed the very interesting feature, but no any problem. I got all of your back because I managed to save it 2 years back. So the same code we are having over here, you will get more feature. Okay, if you are going to the updated repo, you will be getting more feature. For example, you can switch between the metapeta, like that same handler, one server to other server without losing the communication. You can create a team members, for example, 5 hackers at a time, they can handle the same terminal. So we have included more features. Just go and explore yourself. But here we can create an obfuscation payload. So how to create an obfuscation payload? If you are going back to the guided content, to generate a Windows payload, we have to perform a command called as generate. Yeah, we are generating. What are you generating? OS is equal to Windows. So we are generating something for Windows. Okay, fine. Lhost, same. Attacker IP address, Kali's IP address, where the communication should receive the reverse TCP communication. Okay, so Lhost is equal to what? ETH0. ETH0 means it will automatically fetch the IP address from the ETH0 interface, or we can manually type it. But I recommend go with the interface because that's the way that the framework has been developed. Neither you can copy paste this command entirely, or we can take look into the help menu. So we can provide help space and enter. So you can see the entire help menu from here. Again, you can mention generate space help and enter. Sorry, we have to go for help space generate and enter. We'll be getting the help menu, how to generate the payload. From here also you can copy paste. Okay, so anyone, any question from where to copy paste the command and how to get the help menu and how to uprun villain framework? Anyone, any questions? Any blockers, anyone?
Here we didn't provide the port number.
We have to.
L port.
No. By default, if you're observing, you can see that by default, they are using for the listening part, what they're using, they're using two different services over here. One core server where we will be able to exchange the sessions, and another they are using Xorg shell as an engine to do what? To listen the communication. In MSF console, we were using multi-handler. Here they're using a different service, which is they mentioned like an engine. Okay. They're using a port called as port 8080. Okay. Port 8080. So L port is not required. Only L host is required. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm just going to generate the command. So I'm copying all the way to here, copy paste. At the end, the interface that I would like to communicate, which will be ETH. We can take a look. Okay. So I'm going to open a new terminal and I will be going for if config and enter. We are having multiple adapters, for example, ETH0, which will be okay. So which will be the internal IP address, which will be like not like a NAT adapter, which will be 10.0.2.4. I'm not interested in this IP, so I will go for ETH1, which will be 192.168.56.102. So I will copy, we are not copying it, we are copying the interface, which will be ETH1. So I'm copying the interface, exiting from here. We'll paste at the end, okay, ETH1. This is a command that will be generating what? Generating the payload. Okay, we can give an enter. Once you give an enter, what will happen here means it will be generating a PowerShell script. So in MSF Venom, where we used to generate the payload, we are taking the output in exe format, but here we are taking the output in a PowerShell script. Okay, do we have here anyone who have an expertise in PowerShell? Anyone? Anyone have expertise in PowerShell or worked in PowerShell scripting? Anyone? Can raise your hand. Okay, so for them, it will be very simple to identify what are those values, or I will just explain what are those values. Okay, so I'll be opening my notepad in Windows and I will tell you what is happening. So here they are starting a new process in the command prompt. Sorry, in the PowerShell, they are using PowerShell.exe. Okay, they're adding a lot more variables over here. This is actually executing in memory. Okay, so what will happen if you are executing in memory? There is no any leftovers, there is no any process running in background. It will be an it is not a parent process, it will be something inside a child process. So it's very tough to identify, first thing. Okay, second of all, here you can see they are using a lot more variables, like for example $v. Okay, $I. After the session, if you get hands-on to villain framework, just copy this payload, go to GPT and you can try to break down this. Okay, they're using semicolons. So you can see from here, from this line, we can start from here. Okay, they're using semicolons to split multiple commands. Okay, at a time in a single line command. I think in people in cybersecurity, they know that this commands, I mean, this entire line is known as one line command, right? If I'm trying to reduce the font size, you can see it will be converted to a single line. This is a single line. It's not multi-line code. It's a single line command, a one-line command. So how they are achieving this is they are achieving with semicolons. Okay, they are achieving with semicolons. Not only that, the way that they mention IP address is with $s. Then they will call $s somewhere else in between this code. Okay, You can see they are calling $s over here. Okay, they are calling again $s over here. So $s, they are mentioning like what is $s? 192.168. Kali's IP address, colon the port number. Okay, and the mode of the communication they are trying to make over here, it is HTTP. Okay, HTTP. And there were some parameters where I told you, even I managed to save the repo 2 years back. The issue was what? The Windows antivirus got updated, right? So I managed to edit it in a way um, where it will be bypassing the same script will bypass what Windows AV. Only a small tweak I have done. Okay. So this is an obfuscated code. This is a completely obfuscated code. Okay. And one interesting parameter that we can see from here is $I. So $I is nothing but a random hash is being generated. This hash will represent multi-handler. See, we provide a payload to a person. Maybe that person provides by mistake, or how to select, this getting spread to multiple people. So if the multiple connections are coming to our villain framework, you need to identify individual payloads, right? So every payload creation has an individual hash value over here. Okay, so using those hash value only, what villain framework will do, villain framework will be trying to identify individual sessions. So right now we are having an I value where this is a session over here. Okay, I recommend all of you after the session, just try to use GPT to do what? Try to break down this. Even I wish if I'm having enough time, definitely I will explain this. Okay, but unfortunately I'm having a time constraint. So we have generate the payload. What's next? There are multiple ways where we will be converting. First of all, we have to copy paste this. Okay, we will copy paste this to where? To a file called as ps1. What is ps1? An extension for PowerShell script. We can convert that PowerShell script into an exe. In Windows, we have a service called as exe to PowerShell. 2 means numerical 2, not TWO. No, numerical 2. Okay, exe to, sorry, ps1 to exe. We have a payload, we have a GUI, a graphical interface available. You can use that GUI to do what? To convert a PowerShell script into an exe. But there is a problem. We are not digitally signing it. That's the reason why I hope all of you have experienced that when we are using a legit service, but we will get a blue screen window. Do you want to run this? Then we will click show more options. Yes, we do. We will click that and we will run it. Why? Because it's not digitally signatured. Okay. So I'm not going to those complicated methods. We will do what? We'll just copy the entire payload. Okay. The entire PowerShell payload, copy that as similar what we have done with the MS Venom. We will keep both the machines side by side. In Windows machine, what I'll do, I will go to the run option. Okay. And I can simply run a run command and I can open PowerShell, or I can simply type PowerShell. Okay, anything will work. So I'm going to open PowerShell, not as administrator. Okay, so PowerShell has been here. Okay, just assume that somehow one of you or anyone else have received an exe and they are going to run it. But in this situation, we are not going much further how to convert the PS1 into an exe, but you can explore that. The lab has the capability. We have already configured the lab in such a way where we will be able to convert a, a PowerShell script into an exe. Okay, the application is already available in Windows VM. You can see that. Okay, so we have to mention the source file, the target file where we need to save this. If there is an icon, we can convince them, right? So we can add an icon. You can use Canva, PixArt, or any application to create an icon. Save save that icon in an icon format. We can give a version number. All applications has a built version number, right? So we can provide a version number, a description, a product name, copyright. We can have additional values over here. For example, this application should only run with an administration rights. We can add that. Compile. It will be compiling an exe. It will be combining an exe. Okay, so I'm not jumping over here, but we can do that. The lab has the capability. Okay, so I'm just minimizing that. I copied it, right? So into the PowerShell, I'm just right clicking. I just right click one time. I just right clicked. What happened? Whatever I copied from here, it just pasted over here. Now, what we have to observe? we have to observe multiple parameters. Multiple parameters means one thing, the first thing, Windows Defender, you can see everything is enabled. Everything is enabled. Okay. That is in one hand. Okay. I will keep this in one side. In another side, we are having the PowerShell script. Okay. We are having the PowerShell script over here. In Kali, we are having the Villain framework. Let's see what will happen if I'm trying to give an enter. Okay. I'm going to give an enter in Windows machine. Okay. Just giving an enter in Windows machine. Immediately, what should happen? I should receive a communication from where? From PowerShell to our Villain framework. Okay. So let me give an enter. The script is running. There is no any pop-up. You have to closely observe this. There is no any red color flags. There is no any error. There is no any malicious script saying nothing just happened. I don't know what Windows Defender is doing. It's not doing its job. See, we have bypassed. Okay, we have literally bypassed Windows 11 security, and we received a backdoor session. If I'm typing help menu in VLAN framework, there is an option called as sessions. We can copy paste sessions, give an enter. See the ID value, which I mentioned before. Let me go to my notepad. See, this is an ID value, which will be representing a single session, a session. Okay. This is a session ID. So that session ID will be available here. The victim IP address, operating system, the username, owner, status is active. Okay. Status is active. So this is a single framework where we will get a pre-build or a custom build, not custom build, a pre-configured a PowerShell script. But is advisor is using this or real world hackers are using this? No. What they will use means they will use, to be very frank, AI capability. They will use AI capability to do what? To inject some more codes where we will be able to add the PowerShell script into registries. Whenever the user reboot, restart, what should happen? Villain framework or any other C2 framework should receive the communication, a callback feature. Currently, this PowerShell script is not having callback feature. We can add that. Okay. Personally, I tried with GPT. It is working. Okay. I don't know why GPT is not restricting me, but we can do that. Okay. So we can do that with a proper prompt engineering. We can do that. Okay. So this as a base, what we can do. I mean, Villain as a base framework, we can create modern. Okay. I mean, up to date, what we can create and complete method for creating a proper exe that can bypass Windows 11. I'm not talking about any other frameworks because the methods are very different and complicated. Okay, but here we can see all the contents are readable. It is not in an obfuscated manner. This is not an obfuscated manner. The question is, if this is readable, then what is obfuscated payload? Let us create one. Okay, let us create one. So do one thing. Let us copy the same command that we used for generating the payload. At the end, we will add one value which is called as obfuscate. Okay, we have a value called as obfuscate. So I will copy that and I will paste it and give a space, enter. Again, we will get a PowerShell script from here. Okay, let me copy the entire value. Going back to the notepad, paste it over here. Once again, I didn't copy paste that. One second, let me copy. Okay, I got a copy paste error, but no worries. I will. Okay, I got a copy paste error, but let me figure it out how I can resolve it. One second. So I'll be saving this to SF resource in Villain framework. Okay, so I'll be saving here. name I will give, like, for example, I'm going to give a name. Okay. The name should be something like, it should not be flagged by the AV. So I'm going to give like network hyphen mapper dot ps1. Okay. Mapper dot ps1. I'm going to save this. Okay. So it automatically switches the format. Let us move back to our Windows machine in the same resource directory under this PC. We will be able to see the villain directory. We can go there and we can see the PowerShell script. Okay. So all of you need to observe over here. Okay. So let me go back to Windows, and here this PowerShell script is there. Let me try to open this in Notepad. So I will edit this. See, PowerShell editor is all, admin ID is automatically recognizing that as an one-line command. Okay, that as an one-line command. So let me try once again, copy paste. No, I got an error. Okay, but I hope you guys can do that. Okay, so we are having the payload over here. Okay, we are having the payload. Just a second. Okay, so now we can make an like a comparison. Okay, so normally it was mentioned as an argument list, but here you can see it is not in a normal format. Case sensitive is not um, mandatory over here, and you can see the IP has mentioned like 192.168 point like that, right? But here they have split the values. Okay, they have split the values. Even if you're closely observing in this payload, I mean in this particular payload, there was a value called as PWD. Okay, so let me find PW. Okay, 1 second. I think I removed it. There was a flag value, but no any problem. But what actually it is doing, mean it is using an XOR character and base64 encoding method. What it is trying to do means it is trying to obfuscate the payload. Okay, so this is a complete obfuscation payload. If I am copying this obfuscated payload and running this in our Windows VM, okay, so in this Windows VM, and what will happen? We will receive a connection to our Kali Linux. So let me get the Kali parallelly. Just observe over here. Okay. Just observe over here what is going to happen there. And I will right click on the script, run with PowerShell. The script is running. Okay. The script run and it went to the background process. Again, antivirus is not doing its job because it was not able to identify the payload and we are receiving a connection. Okay. So this is a like an updated method since it is released in 2020 something, and still now this particular payload is working. Okay, so anyone, any question how we managed to create an obfuscated payload like this? Anyone or anybody have any blockers while running this?
In both the method, in my VM, the Microsoft Defender
Hmm.
managed to catch the payload
Payload.
connection that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So it like it may be a problem with the, what we can say, with the IP address that we mentioned. Okay, we can switch the IP between the 10.0.2.4. It may work. Okay, but the method that I showcased over here, it is an updated method. For example, if I'm copying this, what we can say, this over here. Okay, this over here, and if I'm trying this payload, okay, this particular payload in my own laptop, okay, the PowerShell is over here, and if I'm pasting this not obfuscated payload in my system and giving an enter, we can see it is run. Okay, it is running in my machine, and if I'm checking my Defender status, we can see it is up running everything. Okay, see, everything is up running. I'm not making any exception to one directory or to one application. Nothing is there.
Yes.
So this is running actually in my local machine. Since this is a local IP, the connection will not be established. Okay, see, in local machine also the same thing will happen, but in our lab that we have isolated everything, so it will not be going to the real world. Okay, but we can perform the same action in real world also. So anyone, any other questions on this method? Because we have one more method to cover. So this is one method to create an obfuscated payload, or an method that we will be able to hack a machine with bypassing an IV. Shall we continue with the second method? Okay, so I'm going to close this terminal because this is we have completed this villain framework. We will close this. We'll be opening again one more terminal in Kali. So in Kali, we'll be acting as a C2 framework. Okay, so scenario is a little bit different over here. Kali will be acting as a complete C2. So what will be the setup means? In Kali, we'll be starting a network connecting tool, which is known as Netcat. Okay, NC, Netcat. So we are going to run Netcat with the help of sudo. Why? Because we are going to use a port number, which is going to be 443, because we require permissions. So Netcat is a utility which will be helping us to connect two different machines in same network or in same VLAN, okay, or so same VNet. So vhost, okay. So here we are having Netcat, and I'm going to listen the communication to a port number, and IP address is not required. Why? Because Netcat will be listening to all the network adapters, whether it is ETH1, 2, 3, or loop IP, anything. Okay. So we are going to listen to the communication. So NC hyphen L, N for the network receiving part, V for the verbose, and P for the port number. You can take NC space hyphen hyphen help. You will be getting the entire help menu. What are the individual flags? So netcat NLVP. Okay. We'll be listening a communication from a port number, which is going to be 443. The question is why 443? Can't we go for like a 5656? Because we were using that before. Here, this method, this particular port number is used very commonly when we are observing from a perspective of a SOC analyst. They will be monitoring unusual port numbers. But here, 443. Application, I mean saying like a payload perspective. Okay, a payload is contacting 443. But when it comes to a user may use a crack software, and crack software contains a payload, which we are going to create something like right now, or they may get a request from a mail that could you able to test our service, and we are sending an attachment which has the service inside that. It will be a payload. So as per the user perspective, he is running an application. From a SOC perspective, a new application is running and it is contacting 443, the port number. So 443, no any problem, right? Similarly, we are visiting a web application. Why? Because HTTPS is running in 443. So there are different methodologies hackers are implementing here to make a false positive in SOC log. Okay. So 443, we are enabling, I mean, we are listening 443 netcat in Kali. Okay. And what is the role of Windows machine? Windows machine, same. What? It will be our C2 framework. Okay. So it will be our client. Okay. Client. So Kali will be acting as a C2. Windows will be the victim machine. Okay. The victim machine of the target system. Now, where we are going to create the payload? Please observe this. We are going to create the payload in host machine. Okay, the host machine is nothing but what? Ubuntu. Okay, so we are going to open a terminal in Ubuntu. Okay, in the host machine in the center, So once again, I'm seeing Kali will be acting as a C2. This will be going to the victim or the target system. And here, what we will do, we will build the payload. Okay, we are going to build the payload. Fine. So we need to create the payload. How to create the payload? What is the method? The method that we are going to use right now is using nim language. Okay, nim language. Okay, so already uh, pen testing developers, they have created a reverse shell with the help of nim language. So this is available in resource file. Okay, the directory will be shared in the chat right now, will in the chat right now. Okay, so this is the directory. Okay, home lab user resource nim reversal. This will be the directory. Okay, now you will be getting that this directory in the chat box right now, so you will be able to just verify that you are in the same location or in the pwd. So in this directory, if you're giving an ls command, you will be able to see that we are having an license, we are having a readme file, we are having a reverse shell dot nim file. Okay, a reverse shell dot nim file. So we are going to edit the file. Let us look what it is. So we can open VS Code. Okay, the lab is configured with VS Code. So we can simply provide like code space dot, which will be representing the current directory. Give an enter. So VS Code will be boot up with the present directory content. Okay, so let us wait for it. Okay, so we can trust the directory. We can continue with the project. Okay, we can continue with the project. So here, license, we are not interested on that. README file contains how to use this and how to compile it over here. But this command, trust me, it will not work. It will not work in the sense of it will compile. The problem is the antivirus will pick you. So I will give a custom command where you will be able to build or compile the payload. Okay, we'll be taking a look into the riv hyphen or underscore shell dot nim. Okay, so this is written in a very simple language where we'll be understand individual parameter. Okay, individual parameter. Just think about it. Nearly for 51 lines of code, which is going to bypass Windows Defender. Okay, only this much. Okay, so let us increase the font size and we can take a look on what happened. By the way, this is a creator. You can go to his repository and you can take the actual repo. Okay, but we can come down. Okay, we can come down. We can see what are the libraries it is using. Okay, it is like using some libraries. Then if I'm closely observing over here, executing process CM and D, nothing but CMD. It is going to execute CMD. Okay, it is going to execute what? CMD. That is they have mentioned that CMD command in a obfuscated manner. Okay, if if the participants in this meeting is having an custom, I mean a paid version of GPT, you can go to explore GPT options and you will be able to find some models which is created by Pentest developers where you will be able to obfuscate a normal Python shell bash script C language into an obfuscated manner. Okay, where you will be able to bypass and aware solutions. Okay. Anyway, here we are mainly focusing on the socket communication, and the communication is going to establish to the attacker machine, which will be 192.168.56.102. Who is 102? Kali is 102. Okay. Kali IP address is mentioned over here. Then double four three or 443, which is nothing but what? The port that we are trying to establish the communication. Okay, and the directory also they have mentioned it will be starting the CMD will be starting from the C directory. Okay, CMD will be starting from the C directory. If you are closely observing, the command is very simple, very simple. If you have a base Python knowledge, you will be able to know what the command is written. Okay, but we'll be trying to compile this. I have already configured it to have the Kali's IP address and the port number, which is going to be 443. Okay, so we have the code over here. Next thing, what we have to do, we have to minimize. I mean, we can close minimize the VS code. Next thing, we have to compile the shell. For compiling the shell, okay, To compile the shell, we required or we need to install nim language in our host machine. So we are going to install that to our host machine. So to the terminal, we can install the command, which is going to be sudo apt install nim and can give an enter. Okay. If it is not configured, we have to provide with -y to acknowledge and install it. In my situation, it is pre-configured. In your situation, if something goes wrong and it is not installed, this will be the command sudo apt install nim space -y. Once that is completed, you have to install the second supporting file or the dependency file, which is going to be compiling for Windows exe. Okay, so we have to get the C library. So copy that command. We can perform by sudo apt install the library name. Within a moment, what will happen? The library also will be installing. Okay, once the dependencies are installed, we can compile it. Okay, we can compile it. Okay, so we'll we'll take the full command from here. We will copy the command. Before executing it, let me try to explain what is going to happen. We are going to call the compiler. Okay, we're going to call the compiler and we are going to mention which language it is need to be compiled in. C. We will be combining with the help of C. Then we are going to tell from where the compiler need to take the dependency. So we are mentioning the dependency over here. Then we are mentioning hyphen app colon GUI, where we are not this is not going to be an open application. This will be an console execution. So we are going to use GUI over here. Then hyphen opt speed is mentioned. So for an optimized library to compile the performance of what the exe. Okay, then the output. Okay, we are going to take an output and output name will be network miner.exe. Okay, so network miner.exe will be what will be the executable. I mean the payload that will be carrying the connection from Windows to our C2 framework, which is going to be here. Netcat is acting as a C2. Then we are mentioning the config file where it need to fetches the lhost, lport, and other commands that need to be executed in the Windows machine. Okay, the command is very simple. So we will copy the command. Okay, copy the command, move back to the host machine, paste the command. Okay, give an enter, give couple of time. It will automatically go through the process. It will compile the exe for you. If you are giving an ls command, you will be able to see an executable has been generated. Anyone, any question how we managed to compile a C2 payload that will contact Netcat? Anyone? Any question? Shall I continue?
Can you explain the code once again?
Which portion? Which part?
Which one you copied?
Okay.
NIMC.
Yeah, this one, right? NIMC.
Yes.
So here nothing but the language will be what? The code, the final code will be a C code will be getting compiled to an exe. What compiler they are using? There will not be any non-GUI interface. They have to do this in an optimized way to enhance the performance of the final output. They are taking the output into an exe format. So we are mentioning the name of the file and .exe, the extension. Then the configuration file, which contains the lhost and the shell that we require, which will be CMD. The command is very simple. Copy that, paste in the terminal.
Encountering a error. It is showing that cannot open rev underscore shell dot name.
Cannot open this. Did you use VS Code or Nano Vim? Which editor you used?
Oh, actually, I didn't open any editor. That's why it's showing error, I guess.
Okay, you can use the command like code space and dot enter. It will be automatically open to VS Code. Okay, or even you can open this in mousepad, which will be a move USC pad revshell.nim and enter. It will be opened in mousepad. Okay, or Nano or Vim, any text editor where you have to customize the IP and the port number. Okay. Once it is compiled, the file will be over here. The same file can be executed from the Windows machine. Talking about the Windows that we are having over here, the antivirus is everything is enabled. We can open the file manager, go to this PC, scroll down, resources. Right now we compiled it in the nim reversal directory. We are having the network miner.exe. So just observe what we are going to receive in this area, and what about the Windows Defender? Is the Windows Defender is going to create any alerts? Okay, so that's we are going to observe right now. So I'm going to double tap on the network mapper.exe, waiting for a couple of seconds. And what just happened? Okay, PWD is not there since this is a command prompt. We can go for dir. You can see dir is over here. Okay, fine. We have received the communication from the Windows machine. Still the antivirus is enabled. Anyone, any question? Anyone, any question on the two different method? I mean, updated two different methods. Any questions?
For me, it's still in listening on any 443 port.
After running, it's still listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you verify the IP address of Kali is 192.168.56.102? Is it 102? If it is something else, you have to replace that. Okay. I hope that there is no any questions or queries, doubts regards with the NIM reversal payload creation. Any questions from the today's day two workshop topic? Anyone? Anyone? Okay. So
Can you give
mm,
the like summary of the last method that you used?
last method, which is the NIM method, the NIM shell
Yeah,
method.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So this is actually the code that written inside the RIM Nova shell. Still, Windows, what we can say, detection engine is figuring out how developers are creating different variants of payloads. Okay, the variant that I provide over here is more like an how to select. It's very simple to understand, but the detection engine is not able to detect that. Okay, like we are creating this in different signatures. If you are taking a look into the source code, you will be able to know that. Okay, it's written in a very simple format. Okay, it's written in a very simple format, but still the detection engine is not able to identify it. Okay, and once we compile it again, it will get obfuscated. Okay, and obfuscation techniques are they are using over here, and this is not getting run in directly as a normal process. This is running in memory. Okay, and this is running in memory. If the Windows Defender need to identify this, Windows Defender need to analyze memory based process. Okay, memory based process. But this NIM reversal, it can be identified by Symantec and by what we can say. There is a SIM solution called as Wazoo. Wazoo OpenSIM is available. I hope some of you guys never know about that. So those solutions can be able to identify this. Why? Because they are conducting a memory dump in a small interval. In the memory dump, there is any anomalies, it will detect and flag. Okay. So it depends. The methods are depending upon where we are implementing it. Okay. There is no any perfect method for all of the solutions. There are some disagreement with the environmentals and the method that we are using. Okay. And by the way, when it comes to real world actions, okay, like as a tech provider or as a mentor, they can we can only teach like this, right? We can only provide the sessions like this. When it comes to real world actions, since I'm very active in cybersecurity communities, what I can say means we have to really think how we can smartly do an false positive or we can bypass the antivirus solution. Recently, I managed to create my version of a PowerShell script, and here I'm not providing any of the IP address. Okay, I'm not providing lhost, I'm not providing lport, but it is contacting to my C2 framework. How it is happening means the platform nothing but GitHub. So in GitHub, you know that we can upload a file and the file will get a permanent URL. Whether it is 10 years, 20 years, we'll able to access the file if we have the URL access. I'm not telling that we are uploading to a repo. You know, in GitHub repositories, we have a area called as issue. Okay, we have an area that I will just show you an broad approach to that, how it is happening in real world. Because I recently have done a case study. So if you have an repo and we can literally keep an issue created over here. We can create an issue. In this issue, we can drag a file and drop to it. Automatically, it will create a permanent URL, right? So we are not creating in your public repo or my repo. We'll be creating that in Microsoft repos. Or Apache is an open source program where it is available in GitHub. They have a repository. So where the hackers will try to drop the a text file which will be written like this format. For example, like IP colon port in this format. And in the PowerShell script, how it is happening means we will provide this URL and we will create a set of code, a block where it is going to fetch the text file from the URL and retrieve the IP address and the port number. When the antivirus solution is actually going through the what we can say, going through the analysis process, the file does not contains any domain. Whether if it contains a domain, it is a whitelisted domain. Why? Because it is contacting github.com and it will look for any anomaly names. There is no any anomaly name. Why? Because it is fetching a name called as Microsoft, Apache, Nginx. So they are using this kinds of hackers are using this kinds of methodologies to implement a fully undetectable. We used to call FUD. Okay, FUD payloads. So there are different types of methods. I hope that makes very clear over here. And anyone, any other questions, we can wind up the session and we can jump to our assessment part. So for taking the assessment, it will be enabled within a moment. You can go back to our course page of Offensive Security Bootcamp. And if you scroll down, you will be able to see day 2 assessment. Okay. From here, you will be able to take it. The instructions are well cleared. You can go there and you can take the assessment. Okay. You will be having 3 attempts and you can submit once you've done the actions and you can get the result within a couple of 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. It is enabled. Every participants, we are encouraging you to take the assessment that whatever we have learned in fundamentals to system hacking and the modern method of payload creation using an obfuscated technique, we can find both assessment over here. Okay. So we can wind up the session. I'm just handovering back to Shivpriya. I hope you are here. You can take over.
And the lab will be the lab will be available till 9:30, and everyone can work on this and finish their assessments. And for all the ones that complete, you will receive a participation certificate. So thank you all for joining today's session.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you once again, everyone, for joining this session. I hope everybody had a great session and hope have some hands-on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, again, no assessment will be available till 9:30. Everybody can go and take the assessment. Post 9:30, the lab will you will not be able to access the lab. I hope that is clear to everyone.